Just going to read a couple of holiday Thanksgiving stories real quick. Not the scary ones right now, just a couple of Thanksgiving ones. Okay? Hope you enjoy. Hope you're going to have a great Thanksgiving tomorrow, no matter what you plan to do. Okay? Right in the beginning of this, they say, welcome. Trimming the tree, planning the meal, and other special holiday memories. It's hard to believe the holiday season is now upon us. Time certainly flies at this point in the year. Maybe it's all the preparation for big family gatherings, the enticing thoughts of holiday goodies, or the anticipation of what might be under the tree. Everyone has such wonderful memories of holidays past, and we're delighted to bring many of those in this issue of Good Old Days. As you look through the stories, you'll be transported back to when kids spent hours poring over the Sears Wish Book and when families planned out multi-generational dinners. Turn each page to find stories of visiting relatives, setting up the Christmas tree, spying at the decorated department store windows, all the holiday memories you love. And then they have 5 delicious recipes, and from Jennifer, who shares her Christmas tales as well. And she has a cute green and white crocheted elf gift set mug warmer and hot pad fun projects to crochet this year. And here she shows right here the little crochet thing right there. Okay. Now let's get to a couple of stories, because I know you must be busy. Maybe you're just kicking back. This one is Remembering Holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn style were great times for this family. Here's a picture right here. Fancy little girl there with her little stroller. Crystal was thrilled with her Christmas gifts, a large doll in a red dress and roller skates. Hi, easily distracted. Just a couple of stories before Thanksgiving tomorrow. Individual recollections of family traditions never seem to get old to me. It is fascinating that these traditions are so often closely tied to where and when people grew up and how long they've lived in America. In my family, my parents were the first generation born in this country, making me part of the second wave. During my mother's formative years, the neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York, in the 30s and 40s, consisted of mostly immigrants and naturalized citizens, German, Polish, Slavic, however you pronounce it. Those were the languages and accents one often heard. Transportation out of the neighborhood was mostly by subway, a bus here and there, and your own walking feet. Relatives lucky enough to afford a car could visit, but people mostly stayed within their own hamlet of a new life. So too did the customs, foods, and traditions they brought with them from the old country, especially during the holidays. As the second generation Americans like me began to be born, people had married into the neighborhood, but not too much changed in the 1950s. The houses back then were called six-family railroad flats, with each apartment having 4 rooms. The kitchen was always at the back of the house, nearest the yard, and the front room, we never called it a living room, was at the front of the house by the street. Most houses contained extended members of the same family. Some of the wives worked outside of the home. My grandmother was proudly a sewing machine operator of the time, Still, there was always someone home to watch children, cook dinner, and basically be in charge of the neighborhood. This was Brooklyn. Excuse me, this bubbly water. So it's important to remember that all of the houses were attached to one another, each having a large stoop with black wrought iron railings in the front. Each house often became known by the name of the original family that lived there. Ours was the Sturzer house, and my friend Janet's house was the Bowen house, and so on. Take a sip. Wow, we already have 200 people in here. This is awesome. I hear one of the cats. There wasn't a mom or grandma who didn't know all the kids on the block. This shared knowledge did much to keep the neighborhood discipline under check. All of this helped to shape the holidays. In my mother's time, Halloween was not a holiday that was readily celebrated. Many European immigrants brought with them long-held superstitions that put a kibosh on the American version of Halloween. No one ever went out after dark in the homeland on October 31st, as that was when all the evil spirits roamed loose. That's one of the reasons why November 1st, All Saints' Day, was the holiday of choice, religious or otherwise. By the time my generation came along, beliefs had softened somewhat. We could enjoy boxed costume sets with masks, as well as pumpkins, bobbing for apples, and scary decorations. One year, my parents surprised us by turning our apartment into a spook house. It was great. Even my grandmother had fun hiding behind a front room chair with a mask on, but we still didn't go outside after dark to go trick-or-treating. Instead, we went from floor to floor inside our building asking for candy. Thanksgiving was very different between generations, too. Perhaps because of being Depression-era babies as kids. When my mom was young, she and her friends would dress up as hobos right after school and go from door to door asking, "Anything for Thanksgiving?" Families still got together for special meals, but these were more closely tied to foods associated with their heritage rather than the American version of turkey with all the trimmings. By the time I came along, turkey was it, but the side dishes, thankfully, were still very much culturally inspired. We still hold on to those dishes today. I never lost my admiration for my tiny grandmother, who did it all by herself, including desserts for our hungry family who would crowd into her small kitchen. Most times, the turkey was so heavy, she needed help to lift it. Many years later, I tried to do it all by myself, like she did, and nearly collapsed into my plate from exhaustion. Christmases had to be different. Part of the immigrant experience of that time meant that our grandparents had left most of their immediate family behind. Some were lucky to have had a brother or sister come over with them. So, in my mom's day, times were hard and extended family was sometimes scarce, but they did always find a way to celebrate. If there was a tree, it was a real one. It was always put up on Christmas Eve and not taken down before the Feast of the Three Kings. The day bubble lights came into use must have seemed like modern times. Presents, if there were any, were practical and sometimes included food. Toys or playthings were scarce, but if received, they were cherished. The Christmases of my youth must have seemed so different to my parents and grandparents. They worked so hard to make more of it for us than what they had. Christmas Eve tree trimming was still the same, though bubble lights were replaced by the multicolored large bubble sets. Tinsel and later garland made everything sparkle. I'm watching my little chihuahua here. Of course, we made plenty of paper chains and always included ornaments we made in school. I still have some of them on my tree today. There was always a nativity set under the tree, even if our cats weren't necessarily gentle with it. We followed the same routine we had on Halloween, going from floor to floor, which gave us 3 times to open presents. But all had to be done in time for midnight mass. I know we received more toys than my parents had, but they weren't extravagant by today's standards. Sometimes it seemed that our grandparents splurged the most on us, and they seemed so happy with our displays of delight. One memorable splurge was my wonderful roller skates. Yes, the ones with the key that you wore around your neck. Roller skating on Brooklyn streets was great, but I was never quite able to master that skill on a rink. Go figure. I never told my mother, but when Santa brought those skates, I took the nativity figures for rides on the skates, of course, when no one was looking. As years move on, changes are inevitable. Elders are no longer with us, and families grow large and scatter far and wide. Some of the traditions we had could never be the same now, but those we hold on to and pass down to each next generation are as important as when they began with our family's first steps in our new country. And here she is with, from left to right, cousins Billy, age 5, Louisa, age 7, and Crystal, about age 3. They're all ready to trick or treat inside their building as no one went outside after dark on Halloween. There they are. Cute, huh? Kind of a tall little 7-year-old there. Hi, Isabel. Hi, Margot. Hi, Gail. Hi, Irma Jean Bojangles. And let's see, I know there was another one here. I'm going to read really quick. It's not real long that I know of that I saw. Let's see. Oh, you're so loud, baby girl. You're so loud. Oh, no. Oh. Oh. Oh, I know. Saying the Thankfuls. It was an experiment with mixed results by Audrey Korn, of all last names. Look at that. Look at this picture. Looks good. Yum, yum, yum. Baby, baby, what you barking at, little one? One Thanksgiving, I think it was 1949 or 1950, Grandpa announced that we would celebrate Thanksgiving differently. An experiment, Grandpa called it. What's wrong with the way we always celebrate Thanksgiving? My great Aunt Millicent asked. Last year, you didn't like the prayer that I said before dinner, Grandpa reminded Aunt Millicent. Your prayers are too long. A person could starve to death before you stop talking, Aunt Millicent muttered. Aunt Millicent was Grandpa's older sister. She and Grandma were the only people who dared to boss Grandpa around. I won't say prayers today, Grandpa promised. It's Thanksgiving. Somebody has to say, thank the Lord for our blessings, Aunt Millicent said. We'll all offer thanks. Each person at the table will name one thing that they're thankful for. Let's start with you, Millicent. My aunt shook her head. I need time to think, she said. I'll go first, 10-year-old Danny volunteered. My cousin Danny was a show-off. I'm thankful that school is closed for 4 days. I'm thankful that Grandma and Grandpa came to the United States. If they stayed in the old country, I wouldn't be here in Brooklyn, New York, to celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm thankful that we need to give other people a turn, Danny, Grandpa interrupted. Uncle Harold spoke next. I'm thankful that I don't have to cook the Thanksgiving dinner. I'm thankful that I don't have to eat your cooking, Aunt Anna laughed. As long as we're talking about cooking, I'm thankful that I can buy sugar and butter again. My Thanksgiving pies tasted terrible during the wartime rationing, Grandma said. Grandma's mention of the war brought a flurry of war thankfuls. I'm thankful for the GI Bill. I couldn't have paid for college without the government's help, Cousin Larry said. I'm thankful the housing shortage has eased and we have our own apartment, Cousin Gloria said. Cousin Gloria was married to Cousin Larry. I'm thankful that the post office hired me to work nights as a Christmas temporary. The money will pay the coal bill this winter, my daddy said. She's eating her food. The grown-ups had been saying most of the thankfuls. I decided to take my turn. I'm thankful that school is closed for 4 days, I said. I already used that thankful, Cousin Danny yelled. Just because you said it, it doesn't mean that I can't be thankful too, I told Danny. I'm thankful for the Brooklyn Public Library. I never run out of books, Cousin Enid said. The kids in my school called Enid a bookworm. I'm thankful that the Pilgrims ate turkey, not liver, Cousin Ralph declared. Cousin Danny made a gagging noise. Luckily for Danny, Grandpa pretended not to hear him. I'm thankful for my health, Uncle Leon said. My grandparents' good friends, Mr. and Mrs. O'Brien, were thankful that Grandma and Grandpa always invited them to share our Thanksgiving dinner. Aunt Edith was thankful for something, but she sobbed so hard with gratitude that I could not understand a word she said. Buddy, who was 8, was thankful that he did not have to give gifts or write thank you letters at Thanksgiving. That's 2 thankfuls, Grandpa said. Grandpa said only 1, Cousin Danny shouted. Danny, you're not in charge, Grandpa sounded annoyed. I'm hungry. I'll be thankful when we finish the thankfuls, Great Aunt Millicent said. How about the rest of you? Are you ready to eat now, Grandpa asked. There was a loud chorus of yes. I'll say a very brief thankful. Then we'll eat, Grandpa promised. When Grandpa spoke, his words sounded more like a benediction than a thankful. I'm thankful to our Lord for blessing us with the freedom to gather here today. I'm thankful to him for our abundance of good food. I'm thankful to him for the blessings of peace and family and friends. Amen, the grown-up said. Serving bowls and platters began to move from person to person. Suddenly, I felt something soft and warm rubbing against my legs. Grandma's cat, Miss Kitty, stared up at me with hungry, pleading eyes. I accidentally dropped a piece of turkey onto the floor. Miss Kitty snatched up her prize and quickly carried it off. If Miss Kitty could have talked, I now know what her thankful would have been. Isn't that cute? Hi, Bucky. Hi, Sharon. Okay, y'all, I just wanted to read a couple of stories. And when we go back to the scary stuff, I have this new book I bought a few months back. Just haven't done it. True Hauntings. And I've looked through it. Pretty interesting. Okay. Thank you, guys. See you at the auction. Bye, guys. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. Love ya.